In my own opinion, the most controversial AFCON so far, the AFCON with the most number of goals scored, the AFCON with, there's a whole lot of record that have been set, a whole lot of record that have been broken, a whole lot of record that have been set.
I like to also appreciate Morocco. I thought they did a good job in terms of hosting. I think it's an eye opener for the continent because you look at the quality of facilities, the quality of pitches, 8 different cities, and you look across those cities, you look across those facilities, you can't quite say which was your favorite because the facilities are all at par, right? Could have been anywhere. The choice of Rabat, for the finale, for political reasons, and for economic reasons as well, being the capital. So I thought that was a great show, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot more in depth. But overview, I thought it was a great tournament.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria, as far as this AFCON is concerned, in my opinion, the best side as far as this AFCON is concerned.
Yes. I don't think they are the best side as long as this AFCON was concerned, because Senegal, the winners, I think they're obviously the best side of this AFCON, because we saw their roads to the finals and their call-up to the squad depth. Despite, I understand that the Super Eagles of Nigeria, they have a whole lot of big names there, but when you look at the Senegalese side in-depthly, you see that, okay, yeah, they have the names, but are the names really known by other Africans in the continent? So I feel if you're talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, you would minus some players, and if they are not there, you will not say they are like the best side in these very tournaments.
It beats my imagination if you say the best performance or the best side. I think it's a stark contrast because football is a result-oriented business. From the last AFCON, we're in the finals, and for all of the sentiments we're talking about now, we finished third. We're in the finals of the last AFCON, or the penultimate AFCON before the one finished in Morocco. So it doesn't make sense to tell somebody, we had a better AFCON this time around compared to the final where, the tournament where we had, a final appearance. We were beaten by the host 2-1, right? And we had the player of the tournament, William Troost-Ekong, right? A defender, 5 goals at that AFCON. I struggle to beat that, but I can understand the sentiment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we promised you a show strictly for the AFCON, and here we are. We've come with a full package for you to enjoy. Trent, how are you today?
Well, I'm good. And how are you too?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing quite fine. I'm excited we are here today, and one man who has made a return to the show, Mr. Bright James.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day to be alive. So it's a fine time to return.
It's nice to be here, right? It's nice to have you here again.
Yeah, nice to be in your company.
All right. So, AFCON 2025, done and dusted. In my own opinion, the most controversial AFCON so far, the AFCON with the most number of goals scored, the AFCON with, there's a whole lot of record that have been set, a whole lot of record that have been broken, a whole lot of record that have been set. Quite interesting, I must say. So, Bright, in your own opinion, what's your take on the participating teams in the just concluded AFCON?
I would say the most exciting, AFCON I've seen in recent years. No doubt about that. And the record speaks for itself. The most goals scored at any AFCON, 120, beating the record set in Egypt 2019, 106 goals scored. And I think that points to the technical depth, the improvement, of the level of football we're seeing on the continent of Africa. Now, even with the smallest teams you'd consider minnows before the tournament, they put up a great fight. You look at matches involving Comoros, right? There were no walkovers, likes of Tanzania, greatly improved, right? So there was real competition, in the AFCON, and every team had what they came for, right? Every team had exactly what they brought to the competition, and I think, all of those elements made up the AFCON and made up the excitement we saw. I like to also appreciate Morocco. I thought they did a good job in terms of hosting. I think it's an eye opener for the continent because You look at the quality of facilities, the quality of pitches, 8 different cities, and you look across those cities, you look across those facilities, you can't quite say which was your favorite because the facilities are all at par, right? Could have been anywhere. The choice of Rabat, for the finale, for political reasons, and for economic reasons as well, being the capital. So I thought that was a great show, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot more in depth. But overview, I thought it was a great tournament, and as I said in my opener, the most exciting, or should I say, to be modest, one of the most exciting AFCON finales I've seen ever.
Okay, most exciting according to Bright. And for me, I would say the same, but I'll differ just a little bit. Trends, we've seen the AFCON come and gone. Okay, let's touch a little bit on the participating teams in this year's AFCON. Also pay more attention to the Super Eagles of Nigeria as far as this AFCON is concerned. In my opinion, the best side as far as this AFCON is concerned. What would you like to say about that?
The Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Yes.
The best side.
Yes.
I don't think they are the best side as long as this AFCON was concerned, because Senegal, the winners, I think they're obviously the best side of this AFCON, because we saw their roads to the finals and their call up to the squad depth. Despite, I understand that the Super Eagles of Nigeria, they have a whole lot of big names there, but when you look at the Senegalese side in-depthly, you see that, okay, yeah, they have the names, but are the names really known by other Africans, in the continent? So I feel if you're talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, you would minus some players, and if they are not there, you will not say they are like the best side in this very tournament. So I'm talking about the numbers and like the records too, Senegal, the best side for me so far, because they won it, and even though they did not win it, I would still say like they were the best side, because starting from the very first game and starting from the whole package and everything, the call-ups, I said it before, Senegal were like, okay, they had quality in that squad. So I was tipping them to win the AFCON, so I think they won it and they proved me right. So Senegal for me.
So when I say Super Eagles for me the best side as far as this AFCON is concerned, I am putting into consideration the performance of Super Eagles in the last AFCON and where we got to. We played in the finals, and the performance of the team as compared to what we have now. So let's rate it Bright. How would you rate the performance of the Super Eagles of Nigeria in this year's just concluded AFCON?
Well, I can understand the sentiments, but it beats my imagination if you say the best performance or the best side. I think it's it's a stark contrast, because football is a result-oriented business. From the last AFCON, we're in the finals, and for all of the sentiments we're talking about now, we finished third. We're in the finals of the last AFCON, or the penultimate AFCON before the one finished in Morocco. So it doesn't make sense to tell somebody, we had a better AFCON this time around compared to the final where, the tournament where we had, a final appearance. We were beaten by the host 2-1, right? And we had the player of the tournament, William Troost-Ekong, right? A defender, 5 goals at that AFCON. I struggle to beat that, but I can understand the sentiment. Understand the sentiments in the sense that, in terms of the performance, right? We play the kind of football that Nigerians would love to see, right? Eye-catching football. We had the most potent attack in the whole of the competition. We scored 14 goals, right? We had players who really turned up big time. Adem Lukman, right, voted in the team of the tournament. He had the most goal contribution in the tournament, 7 goals, 3 goals and 4 assists. We had Victor Osimhen as well, second top scorer in the competition, 4 goals, 2 assists, right? We also had a couple of standouts. Calvin Bassey is in the tournament as well. The team of the tournament had a standout performance, and we hear that tournament and that performance has earned him reviews around the world. He's been linked with some of the biggest clubs as we speak. Inter Milan, one of the clubs, chasing him this particular transfer window. Whether or not that materializes, it's inconsequential, because now we talk about because of this AFCON, he's getting the attention, and it's a direct consequence as well. It's the same story for Rafael Nyedika. There's some transfer war between Galatasaray in Turkey and Aston Villa as we speak. And that's because of what he did at the AFCON. He played just 2 matches, right? Predominantly.
Yeah.
Scored 2 goals at the AFCON. So that's what an AFCON can do. That's what that kind of performance can do for you. right? We had Akko Adams introduced to the national team. This is the biggest tournament he's played so far for the national team, and we saw his link up play up front with Victor Osimhen. I thought it was telepathic, and that's something to be excited about going forward, right? So compared to Jose Pizarro's system, where we more like packed the bus, played on the break, and then we got a couple of chances, scored goals, came back, defended. It wasn't eye-catching football, the kind of football, expansive, elaborate, football fans love to see. But this time with Eric Sekochio, it was a lot more exciting. And then also, I can also understand the sentiment in the fact that we had a bad campaign for the World Cup in 2026. Eric Sekochio, you can't put it on him. He came in, inherited a bad situation, right? Maybe could have salvaged that, but at the end couldn't. So there were question marks, right? There were a lot of aspersions cast as to how the Super Eagles of Nigeria will perform at the AFCON. But I thought he came in and has shown a whole lot. Beyond the tactical acumen I've seen him, in terms of how he deploys players and how he set up the team, one thing stood out for me. He's brought back discipline into that team, right? He's brought back that discipline. I thought that's something that's been lacking, right, in the national team for quite a while now, right? And I'd like to see that going forward. That's if he stays, because we hear there are offers everywhere around the continent of Africa. And that's what a big job like that of the Nigerian Super Eagles gives you as well, because he had a big job with the Malians. He had a job with the Malians. I don't know how many national teams were going over their heads to get him after what he did at the last AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. But with Nigeria, I think this is his biggest market, because Nigeria always gets the attention, right, on the continent of Africa and anywhere around the world. So this job has really put him out there in the market, it's really put him out there in terms of showing what he's capable of. So I would say the job it's a good advertisement for Eric Sekochio, what he can do if given the right set of players and given the opportunity to do what he knows how to do best. So it was a good tournament for Nigeria, right? But it's sad. The biggest teams from this particular competition are looking forward to the World Cup. We're not. So that's, I would say, what a good tournament. Fairly good tournament. The difference with this one was that a lot of Nigerians didn't want to be disappointed, right, from the World Cup qualifiers. So expectations were tempered on this AFCON. And I would say the Nigerian Super Eagles outweighed and outperformed what many fans, an average fan of Nigeria and the Super Eagles, thought Nigeria would do at the tournament.
Well, Nigeria had one of the best performances so far as the history of AFCON is concerned. The country with the most number of goals scored in the AFCON. And this AFCON, Bright, 87 goals scored in the group stages of this AFCON. Round of 16, 27. The quarterfinal, 10 goals. The semi-finals, 7 goals. And the third place, 6 goals. And on the final day, 1 goal was scored to make it 121 goals in an AFCON. I mean, that's a record.
Yeah.
It's never happened before.
Yeah.
And it's even as much as these goals are scored,
Yeah.
as much as we see these beautiful goals scored, there were a whole lot of controversy surrounding officiating.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the controversy now would say number of red cards that were on this tournament: 5 red cards in the group stages, and in the knockout stages 4, make a total of 9. Okay. Then yellow cards, 14 in the group phase, and in the knockout phase 19, a total of 33 yellow cards. Bright, let's talk officiating now.
Yeah.
What is your take as far as the officiating of the 2025 AFCON is concerned?
I would say officiating was average. Right. I would not sit here and say, well, it was poor, was entirely poor, it was the worst we've seen in AFCON history. Absolutely not. We've seen controversies, right? But now, the opinion, by many football fans who saw it was the fact that from the knockout stages, it looked like for a bit and for long stretches, it looked like, the host nation got a bit too much of an advantage, considering the teams they played, right? And that's the worry. I'm not concerned about the yellow cards or the red cards, right? I like people to come out and say, oh, this red card wasn't worth it, or this yellow card wasn't worth it, all right? While we talk about officiating, I know bulk of it would be down to the center referees. I would also say, and I would be justified, I wasn't really impressed about the VAR at this tournament, right? At the last AFCON, there was so much hype, there was so much encomium showered on the VR. And globally, those that witnessed the tournament said, well, the likes of the Premier League, the La Liga, the Champions League, they have to come and learn how to use VR from the African Cup of Nations. That's how good we were. We really got a foot wrong, right? A typical instance was Nigeria-South Africa. Victor Osimhen scored at the other end. The referee stopped play there despite that goal, and the celebrations, halted the celebrations, and went back almost immediately to the last action before that goal was scored, which was in the Nigerian box. A South African player was fouled before Nigeria scored that goal, right? And he was called, the center referee was called to the VR. He looked at the monitor and made that right call. As Nigerians, we didn't like that, but it was the perfect call. But the VR at this tournament, we've seen calls that, in my opinion, I've tried to wrap my head around. I don't quite understand, right? So the VR and its application at this tournament just concluded, I would say, was not up to par, nor was expected. But again, now I like to borrow the thoughts of Thierry Henry, right, when talking about the AFCON, because now, see, we've talked about the stats, goal scoring, the most goals scored in AFCON history, 121. There was rarely a match that was not entertaining at this AFCON. People are not talking about that.
Yeah,
People are
that's
talking
true.
about AFCON and seeing AFCON from the prism of the controversies that surrounded the finals. And very sadly, for a tournament as big, for a tournament as glamorous, a tournament as good as what we saw in Morocco, for many, that's how they would remember the AFCON. The AFCON that Senegal players walked off the pitch in the finals, right, and all of that. And I think that's grossly unfair. That's because of the officiating. You see what we saw at that finals? It didn't start and end in that finals. It was a blowout. It was a culmination of what has been cooking, what people have been holding in their boils for almost the entire knockout stages. One nation, Morocco. And that's why I said earlier, it looked like for long stretches, people tried and worked a bit too hard. I don't think they needed it, because I don't think they needed it rather, because I look at that Moroccan squad. There was damn too much quality. I personally thought that was the best team at the AFCON in terms of quality. They will start for quality from goalkeeping department to defense to midfield to attack. They were spoiled for choice. The likes of Yusuf El Nesri were on the bench.
Imagine.
Right? As good as Yusuf El Nesri is, I tell you what, Yusuf El Nesri starts for even Senegal. That's how good he is. The best team from the AFCON just concluded. But he was starting games on the bench. That's how stacked the Moroccan team was. So I didn't think they needed the kind of officiating help that we saw, whatever. They try to lend them. I don't think they need that kind of hand. Because it's a big indictment on, if they ended up winning that, there would always be question marks around how they won that. And many people would be of the opinion that they were helped to win that. But you can't quite say the same of Senegal. They played themselves to the ground to win that AFCON. And that's what you see of the other champions, Côte d'Ivoire. We saw how they came out. The best losers in the competition to the finals where they were losing. They were trailing against Nigeria. The better side in long stretches all through the tournament. And they came back to win that. Deserving, speaks of character. So I thought it was unfair. I think the officials robbed us of what would have been the best AFCON ever. If this AFCON doesn't go down as the best, then that will go down. That's an indictment on the officials, right? And then it's also an indictment on the refereeing committee at CAF. It shows the gap in technicality that exists between our referees and the rest of the world, some of the best referees in the world. Now there are calls saying, oh, it's an African tournament, but maybe we should look at bringing referees from outside Africa. It shouldn't even be a conversation. It's an African tournament. Shouldn't bring officials, but they've opened up the window for that conversation because of the showing at this tournament. There are good referees. I think there are referees that can handle games better, right? And maybe they would handle games better if they had better training. So in the thoughts of Thierry Henry, I think that's that should be the take home from this competition for CAF, right? I know people will be punished. The Senegalese coach, the Senegalese players, I don't know if the FA, whatever, people will be fine. But I think the biggest take home from this tournament is that our referees need to do better. We understand the importance of referees. Referees are too important in modern day football not to be equipped with the required and requisite information and what they need at this kind of tournament. Because referees make or mar tournaments, and we've seen it at this tournament. This one is not, it's not a textbook thing. You say, oh, referees make or mar tournaments. It's not. This is a practical example. AFCON 2025. It's a practical example as to how important the referees are to modern day football. So CAF needs to go back, train, retrain, and make sure the selection processes are a bit better. I cannot understand, in all fairness, how a North African referee would be officiating in a North African game, a game between a North African team. It doesn't make any sense. The referees from Somalia, the referees from Ethiopia, let's say Eastern Africa, the referees from West Africa, that officiate in such games. Let's say a West African and a North African team is playing. You can get an East African referee there or a South African referee there, right? It saves you some of the trouble, some of the conversations we have from the tournament, right? Yeah, because whether or not the referee is biased, they would say, oh, he's always going to. You look at, for instance, what happened, the Ghanaian referee, Nigeria, Morocco. Ghana are not even at the AFCON. But we understand the rivalry that exists between Nigeria and Ghana, right? On and off football. And people are sneaking in the conversation, oh, okay, he's bringing the Ghana bias.
The moment we
don't
saw
want Nigeria
the moment we saw that appointment, yeah.
Right, so CAF should save themselves the kind of stress and this kind of conversations, right? The tournament is too sweet. The meal from the tournament was too delicious. They just carry referees, spoil the whole thing.
Well, like you said, it's too sweet a tournament for anybody to come and mar it. Bright, I'll come back to you because there's a whole lot to talk about officiating and also CAF. Trent, briefly, what is your take on officiating on this just concluded AFCON?
Well, I feel I said it all, but I'll just add to what he said. Nigerians too, I think we should also understand that so many people are saying that, okay, yeah, that they are using referees from Ghana, from South Africa, from Tunisia too, and all of that. Now it's a challenge to the NFF too, to the is it the National Sport Commission of Nigeria? What is happening to our referees? Because imagine we are in this tournament too, and we have referees from Nigeria too. Something, maybe, I'm not saying that, okay, anything will happen, maybe they'll favor Nigeria or stuff like that, but at least we'll have like that too, because if I want to start talking about referees too, someone will be like, all right, bring your own referees to the tournament too, to help you guys maybe have some points or stuff like that. So it's a challenge, and I think in the next AFCON, we should try and see Nigerian referees there too. And talking about the whole officiating, see, it's actually like really sad that this is like the kind of level we are seeing. And when we were watching that finals, I posted something and I said that now person when they watching and they're going to say this thing and new thing.
So now you're advocating for Nigerian referees to be at the African Commission.
Please, they should be there. Please, they should be there. And I used to say that who are the people that trains these African referees? Who are the people that trains them? Because I understand that people go for referee, they go for courses outside Nigeria, some parts of Africa, and maybe outside Africa too. Which school are they going to? Because I've not heard anything about the refereeing school of South Africa or refereeing school of Nigeria, stuff like that. Where do they go for their trainings? And is it outside Nigeria? Is it outside Africa? Is it outside the whole planet? Or where do they really go for this training? Because I don't understand. Like, where is all this? The Michael Oliver. Where do they go for their training? Because they are supposed to go there too. I understand that, okay, maybe UEFA and CAF, something like that. Yeah, they have. Then they should bring lecturers from UEFA to teach them in CAF too.
But now, you see, that's a conversation. You see now where Trent is taking us, right? What the showing at AFCON has opened up, right? But back to one of his points, I think it would be. You shouldn't even think of taking a Nigerian referee to AFCON. I think it would be a disaster. Not because we don't have good referees, but because of endemic practices that has been going on for far too long. So I don't think you should. CAF Champions League, CAF Confederations Cup. How many Nigerian referees do you see there? That's where they start from. The AFCON is too big to even say, oh, let's take referees there. Take AFCON. AFCON is too big. CAF Confederations Cup, CAF Champions League. How many Nigerian referees do you see there? It's a big indictment, and I think it's embarrassing. We pride ourselves, giants of Africa, this, that, and all. Right. But there are factors to it. We are all, privy to what happens in the NNL. It's called the most important league in the country because it's a bridge between top flight football and the third division, the nationwide league. And you see the kind of stuff that goes on there. You look at the MPFL, for stretches it looks like, well, they improve, right? When the pressure is on them, they can. I've seen good officiating even in the NNL, right? I've seen good officiating. Maybe when the pressure is turned up on them. Just before the last round of games, the NNL partners, Bet Power, threatened to withdraw from the league, citing unfair officiating. And guess what? Calls were made around different centers in the country. Said if you don't improve, any referee found culpable in questionable calls would not just be suspended, would be banned. For a bit, you think, oh, the referees, would do better. They would up a bit. They would be conscious. They're conscious. But you still see very silly calls. Like, it's like for a moment, you say, you do confession, and you're so conscious not to sin. Right? Then for a moment, you just forget. The natural you comes. The flesh takes over for a moment, and then it's a thing with Nigerian referees. Bad calls and terrible decisions is ingrained in them. It's their second nature. They know how to make the kind of calls that will make you take off your shirt and you can run mad, literally. They make those kind of calls. Like calls, things you've never seen in football anywhere in the world. You can see it here. Now I know. It's a two-way thing. I know the media has played its part as to why Nigerian referees are not at the continent and may never be at the continent. The media has a role because I think we in the media, we've also found a way to devalue the referees. But the first actors in the case, they're the referees. Because if there are no bad calls, I don't think you can go and say, oh, it's a bad call when it's not a bad call. The calls are there. The clips are all over social media and people are running mad, literally, saying, how dare you, a referee? But they do that and go back home and sleep well. That's the part that I don't know how they do it. Like they get back home, they eat good meal and they sleep so comfortably. Not minding what they did minutes or hours before that sleep. And they pray to God, my soul to keep. The thing beats my imagination.
Well, right. There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot. I mean, we cannot dissect all of that in this single episode. Yeah, but let's talk about Morocco as a host nation in the just concluded AFCON. How would you rate Morocco? Morocco, they've achieved a whole lot in terms of sports development, infrastructure-wise, and also across board. On the age, the age range football, what they did in the Under 20 World Cup and all of that, What we saw in the AFCON, what we saw beyond what was going on the pitch. I mean, how would you rate Morocco as a host nation? Also putting into consideration that, I mean, in a few months' time, AFCON, it's going to be upon us.
The people, they've spent too much money. Right? They've spent so much money belling CAF and belling the continent of Africa time and time again. So the Emilocon conversation comes in, and that's what got into their heads. They thought, oh, this is our turn to win the AFCON. So you'd see the writings in the world, and you see all of what played out, right, on the pitch of play, off the pitch of play. It was a national consensus. That thing you saw, it wasn't just about the players. So you saw the way the fans took it personally. It was a national project. They thought, oh, we've spent too much money. this is our turn to win this AFCON. We've won it once on home soil, we want to do it again. Right? So, and you can't blame them. They've spent money, they've invested in infrastructure, they've invested in personnel. If you talk about some of the best coaches, they're in Morocco, right? National team, clubs. Talk about what some of the best officials, referees from Morocco. You look at CAF A licensing programs for coaches, right? You see a class of 19. 13, 14, 15 of them are from Morocco. So in terms of the training, they have the best of the trainings. And what Trent said, those guys, they come from Europe. How many nations can afford the CAF A licensing program? How many? It costs money. The federation is spending money. Anything, under 17, under 20, under 23, national teams, male or female, they're investing. Right? So, as a host nation, I'll say they did very well. The best kind of support, the best you can do for a tournament of this magnitude is to provide the best in terms of facilities. From the stadium to the hotels, world class. After, it's no surprise to me because they're one of the hosts for the 2030 World Cup, joint host alongside Portugal and Spain. To tell you how prepared, they've bidded for the World Cup twice already, turned it down before the joint hosting was accepted. The nation is ready. They've invested that much.
Now, right. This is where I'm concerned because if we're actually ready, okay, when I say we now, Africans, right? But if Morocco is actually ready to host the world in 2030, this character we see from fans of some Moroccan fans using the lasers, also attacking players and some other fans, and even the one that strikes the most is ad hoc staffs employed by CAF for a CAF tournament, doing all of that behind the post, trying to snatch the towel of the goalkeeper and all of that.
Who pays them? CAF or Morocco?
Now, we are seeing all these videos. I mean, it's online. We are seeing it, yeah.
Let me tell you.
So what's after now?
Let me tell you.
I'm waiting for the reviews.
I'm not justifying what Morocco and some of the things we saw, but understand something. These practices are not new. So you can't put it on Morocco and say, oh, Morocco did it. Who told it's not been happening at other AFCON? It's the heightened media consciousness. It's a global thing. People are screenshotting and people are videoing those things per second and content are released. It's a content thing. It's not something you say, oh, it's just Morocco. Who told it's not been happening before now? As I said, it's a heightened media consciousness. You must understand the times we're in now. Everybody is a content creator. That's what you do, courtesy of your smartphone. You have that people are creating content per second because as you're watching the game from TV, for instance. You're at the mercy of the director, what he decides to show you per time, out of the plethora of shots available. But when you're at the stadium, you're your own director. You see what you want to see per time. You are not limited to what to see. Do you understand me? So let's not lose our heads, or let's not be too sentimental and say, it's a Moroccan thing. How can the Morocco be? Is Morocco going to? Will Morocco want to win the World Cup? Is Morocco going to win the World Cup?
No, we've not seen. We've seen. We watched the AFCON at the Côte d'Ivoire. Yeah, we didn't see lasers. The use of lasers.
Let me tell you, we've seen lasers. We've seen lasers in football in Africa back 2017. I remember an AFCON where Mo Salah wanted to take a penalty. It was not Morocco. Lasers, I've seen it. It's not. You can go back and review. I'm not saying something that cannot be verified. So if it's down to lasers, let's not say it's down to taking towels. Is towel going to make you win football or not win football? And those towels, for instance, you look at where they're kept. Towels are not a part of football. It's not a paraphernalia. CAF will not find anybody for taking towels. You look at where those towels are placed. Outside the pitch. They're outside the pitch, the touchline. So the referee is not concerned. Anybody takes something, it's outside. It's like dropping water can.
I'm a goalkeeper. I need my towel to.
What towel? It's like saying. Wait, it's like saying.
If your hands are
it's
wet,
discretionary. It's not a part of the game. It's not a paraphernalia for football. They say, oh, the CAF requirement, things to bring. Your gloves and all. Would CAF say you must have your towel before you are passed fit to you, before you can keep? It's not. It's an add-on. For instance, we've seen long throws being employed these days by different clubs. Trent's club has even employed 2-3 seasons ago. They employed a throwing coach, specific throwing. Liverpool, a throwing coach in England. Do you understand me? And then you'd see at certain stadium, the home team does as much as supporting where they drop the balls, they drop towels. Where they drop the balls, they drop towels. I tell you what, an away team as advanced as the Premier League is, an away team cannot go. Manchester United cannot go to Stamford Bridge, and where they drop the balls, you drop towel there. The ball boy will carry it. We've seen in the Premier League, as advanced as the Premier League is, ball boy will hide ball. You remember the case of Eden Hazard kicking at the ball boy? That's the Premier League. The one we say is the best league in the world. So let's not lose our heads over this thing and say, some of this prize is only Morocco. He's AFCON. He's not.
See.
And let's not join the campaign to devalue AFCON. That was a great AFCON. We had a blip. I pointed it out. It was down to officiating, right? The officials didn't handle games the way they were supposed to handle games, and we saw the boil over at the AFCON finals. That in no way justifies what Senegal did. That was a terrible thing, right? And that's how this AFCON will be judged. That's how many people will remember this AFCON. And I think it's quite unfair, right? It's unfair. Fans fight. It's not a new thing. We've seen it at even the World Cup. Let's not lose our heads and say, oh, it's AFCON. We've seen players at Copa America, players leave going to the stands to fight with fans. Like, fists, fights. And we've not said, Copa America is the worst thing that's ever happened to football. Oh, because it's AFCON. We cannot join the camp. We cannot deliberately, because we want to have conversations, join the global campaign to smear AFCON. Because you see what? At the end of it, you see some of these conversations we're having. It should further buttress the point of when some people sat in Europe and said AFCON is a small tournament. That's what it will go down to. So let's be conscious of what we put out. Let's not join campaigns. See, we've seen Euros. Terrible things happen at Euros. Nobody lost their heads. People didn't lose their heads. They say, oh, it's Euros. Oh, because it's Euros. Oh, because it's Copa America. Or because this one is AFCON. So, some decisions, some things happen in AFCON that shouldn't happen. Right? So, let's keep it at that. Those things are not supposed to happen. And let's continue saying, oh, let's better these things. Right? Let's ensure, let's put things in place to ensure that, it doesn't further escalate. But, we cannot sit here, and we should not. I will not be a part of that campaign to smear AFCON. AFCON
is a major tournament.
You may not know what you're doing.
I understand what
You may not know what you're doing.
I understand what
you may not know what you're doing consciously. I tell you what, we know what we're doing when we're in the media. When people are cutting clips, people will not cut the whole clips of the conversations we're having now. People will just cut the clips of the place where Trent is saying, Morocco is the worst. AFCON is the worst. That was the worst AFCON we've seen. They will just cut that one and put online. Someone in Europe sees that, you can
that's not what he was trying to say. Yeah. You said something about maybe smartphone and content creator.
Now you're trying to
in the 2021 AFCON.
Now Trent.
Or in the 2023 AFCON. Yeah.
Trent. Now, so for a moment, you've turned to a mind reader or you're a speaker for the man. The man is alive.
No, he's alive.
He's held and hearty and sitting beside us. He's sitting beside me. He's not
technology.
He's not incapacitated
from the 2023 AFCON to maybe it has not really changed. It has changed though. I know it has changed.
Trent.
But
Trent,
Are you not the one that sat down here and said the VAR then was better than the VAR in the 2025 AFCON?
Trent, when you no,
wait. Let me laugh.
I made a point,
Right.
and I was very specific. I said heightened media consciousness. Now if you say not much has changed in terms of the media literacy, I would say that's a big lie.
No,
now
I'm
let's
not saying no,
now let me tell you what.
I'm saying in
now
technology.
Now let's use one phrase.
All right.
Artificial intelligence.
AI.
Right? How contents are developed in split seconds. Content creation. AI. Content creation. That is the headline for you.
No. We are not. I know that AI has really developed from 2023 to 2025, or maybe this year.
So what has not
But
developed for you?
it's not AI generated content we were seeing from all those stuffs now.
Oh,
in
Jesus
Morocco, it's not AI generated content. He was trying to say that. See, we used to have that antics. We used to see that antics in the 2023 AFCON, 2021 AFCON, 2019 AFCON. They are always antics to maybe win a tournament or stuff like that. But it was just too much.
What was it?
It was too much. It was
wasn't.
way too much. It was
wasn't.
way too much.
It wasn't.
The officiating and everything from the ball
No,
boys, even from the players. To the extent that the players were the one holding we saw clips of the players on TV. The director made us see the players, Hakimi, returning the carrying Mendy's towel and throwing it.
It's not a new thing, Trent.
I know it's not a new thing.
When did you start watching football?
Okay.
See, let me.
It's okay.
No,
it's
it's
okay.
not now. Let me.
I know. When did I start watching football? It's okay. It's okay.
It's not okay.
Okay.
Let's not off the mic. Let's put it right. Right. This is what I'm saying. My dear friend and brother Trent. This is what I'm saying. Listen now. This is what I'm saying. I'm saying these antics have been there, right, for a long time. Now, do you know why people are more concerned about all of those things and why some of those things are now surfacing more? Because of the perceived favoritism towards the host, Morocco. So if there's a thing to discredit Morocco, if there's any evidence, it's like we've opened a court, say, oh, submit all your evidences to show proof that they were working harmoniously to ensure Morocco wins the tournament. Because see, now, as I said, but one thing costed the whole boil over I was saying. Now, what is the reference point? Key point is officiating. Now, over the last AFCON, not even in Egypt have we seen this kind of, if I'm to call it conspiracy, right? Or deliberateness. We've not seen it. So that's the difference. That's why we're having these things, the searchlights beamed on some of these antics more. Come on now, we've been to CAF Champions League, we've sat here and talked about CAF Champions League where away teams go and train with their torches.
In Libya.
Not Libya only, even in Egypt, Morocco. So it's not, it's still football now. Well, maybe not AFCON.
Now,
right? So these antics were
AFCON is supposed to be
these antics were crying over now and saying, oh, there are everyday things that happen on the continent of Africa. So if we don't stop these things at CAF Competitions Cup level or at CAF Champions League level, we'll continue to see it because it's ingrained. It's like our second identity. These antics, we heighten it in Africa. Not like it doesn't happen anywhere else. It does, even in Europe, as developed as you think Europe is and their football is. We still see some of these antics being deployed. But on the African continent,
no, we're not trying to, particularly I'm not trying to devalue the AFCON.
No, you're not trying to smear the AFCON. You're not trying to smear the AFCON.
Speak for yourself.
You're not trying to smear the AFCON.
Now, I'm speaking for myself, yes. I'm not trying to devalue the AFCON. But as much as this has happened, now, let's talk CAF now. How would you rate the general organization of these tournaments by CAF as compared to what we've seen in the previous years, and also the success rates of these tournaments by CAF?
When we say CAF, I'd like maybe
in terms of the number of viewership, number of participating
that's
viewership,
Sponsorship too.
the success rate in terms of revenue, and
I'm sure
all of that put together, and generally
Yeah,
the
I'm sure-
performance of each of these participating teams.
I'm sure we'd have the data available, right? How much money has been racked in, how much viewership, and I expect it to beat what happened at the last AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. And we heard from the viewership from AFCON from Cote d'Ivoire was the highest ever in AFCON history. And I think that points to business. That's what you give Patrice Motsepe, led CAF. He's a businessman, so he thinks business. He's brought that ingenuity and that intuition to CAF as well. CAF are looking at generating more money, because more money for CAF means more money for the respective national teams, and there's an improvement in the pay package as well. All right. So if you have more sponsors coming in for CAF, that would mean more money to be shared among member nations, right, and those participating. So in terms of that, I would say it was a huge success. Huge success for CAF, because you see, this thing, I really buy into the idea too when they say no publicity is bad publicity. There is nowhere in the world now that AFCON is not being talked about. There is no place in the world now that someone will say, oh, I don't know of AFCON. Whether in the broader perspective or just by mention. And that's what that final has done for us.
Okay, now,
Right?
now.
So those are positives, if we were to say positives now. In terms of publicity, AFCON is more popular now. I saw major TV stations, major news organizations, major sports organizations in the world talk about AFCON more deliberately. Maybe because of the quality of players we have at the Nations Cup now. Because, see, the attention is there from Europe. I remember a couple of seasons ago, the European Clubs Association, the ECA, they were at war with CAF and FIFA. Releasing players and all, right? And I think this AFCON has really heightened in terms of, you look at the quality of players that are playing at this AFCON, what it meant for the respective national teams. So we had clubs praying for their players and the country they represent to leave AFCON early.
Yes.
Private jets were waiting in Morocco. As soon as the player is on, bam, next 24 hours is back to base.
Manchester United.
Right, back to base. They were praying, and Zika was praying so hard. Brian Buemo, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Amad Diallo. Please, maybe Mazraoui, but Mazraoui went to the finals with Morocco. But I would say it's a lot more. So, and why do advertisers pay? They pay because of the numbers, the potential clients that they are exposed to on that platform, and that's why you see. Commercially, this AFCON was a huge success, right? I'm sure we'd have a lot more in terms of the numbers coming in, but from the post split, it's an improvement from the last AFCON. There's more money to share now, and I'd say from the next AFCON there'll be more money to share. But it's just sad that because of the relationship between Motsepe and Infantino, we've bowed to the pressure of making AFCON every 4 years. I thought the 2 years was a selling point for us, and we maximized it, right? Maybe I understand what it did in terms of some nations not being ready. For the developing nations, so maybe Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania hosting the next Nations Cup, the 4-year gap gives them a bit more time in terms of putting their infrastructure in place, because not every nation is Tanzania or is Morocco. Not every nation has those facilities standby. We saw a similar situation with Cameroon. We know what went in there, what CAF had to do, the postponement and all of that, the support that went in there just to ensure, Cameroon were ready for the Nations Cup. And it will be the same story if we bring it to Nigeria, right?
Please don't bring it.
If not worse,
Would need maybe 8 years, and that's not because we don't have the money. We have the funds, but we've not been deliberate. We're more like we do this more of a fire brigade thing. So give us a tournament.
Life by the edge.
So give us the tournament, and then CAF would bring the money. Because if CAF gives you a tournament to host like that, there's a CAF support grant for the host nations to help in terms of infrastructure. I know what came in, for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. There was a FIFA grant that came in, right? Just like FIFA does. For every participating team, they'll tell you, they'll give you money to help you prepare for the tournament. So imagine what comes in for the host nation. They'll give you support now where you are lacking. Yes, the government would also spend money, right? But there'll be a CAF grant to also help you fix some of those facilities and all of that. But if we're already developing, for instance, the Akwa Ibom has one facility ready. If Delta had one, Rivers had one, Lagos had one, Abuja had one, now be 5 or 6 facilities. To make hosting some tournaments a bit easier, maybe it would be a bit of upscaling here and there, maybe a bit of improvement here and there, not a total beauty of not building anything from scratch. Because if you're giving Nigeria now, that's what almost it will require, more than the face touch. They'll tell you, you look at the amount of money that will be quoted in some places, and people will try to be funny too. So I think it's massive what Morocco are doing. But the 4-year gap, I don't really like it in terms of the attention would leave CAF and the AFCON, because we're now competing with other competitions, the World Cup, Euros, and all other competitions. But if we're doing 2 years, it's a unique situation for us. And I thought that December, January time was also very good for us. But as I said, the positive for me would be that, and I'm sure CAF will be citing that too, to give host nations a bit more time to prepare and put the infrastructure ready for such tournaments.
Well, with what we've seen so far, it's a very unique tournament. It's very interesting what we saw in Morocco. But what do you think this means for African football, the way forward? With what we've seen, the whole controversy, we've talked about how, it has been happening before now. Yeah. It's just media awareness, that has heightened what we have seen now too. But what does this mean? What is the way forward, and what does this mean for African football?
The biggest deficit for me from the Nations Cup, as I said earlier, I've been saying from the start the conversation was officiating. I think we need to improve on that. Officiating held us hostage. The officiating is giving us the bad name we're getting now. What we saw at that finals, not justified again, I would say, but it was a boil over, because there was always some perceived prejudice, right? People always smelled bias even before it came out. Because you look at Senegal, for instance, they will cite the instance of Morocco, Cameroon, Morocco, Nigeria. So it looked like Senegal were ready. Like, they came prepared. They say, we know now. We know it's now. We'll bring come. We're ready for now. Right? So immediately that happened. The coach said, come out. That thing we talked about, it has come, it has happened. Come out. Right? Because there was a perceived perception. There was a perceived prejudice. There was a perception of bias even before kickoff. Right? Though I thought the referee, I cannot question the referee. For me, I thought he handled the game well, because I'm looking at the incidences cited, the goal Senegal scored. That was 50-50. Anywhere in the world, even the Premier League, there are Premier League referees, very experienced referees that would rule that out. Right? And the penalty incident, can you say it was not a penalty? You can say it was soft, it was this, it was that, but you cannot question that you cannot say, in fairness, that it was not a penalty. You cannot say it was not a penalty. Right? And maybe a few calls in the game, but it's normal. There's no referee, even in the World Cup final. I still stand by it, I thought he handled the game expertly. The only thing lacking there was that element I talked about, the perceived bias. And the Senegalese brought that in their minds. They came prepared, knowing, there will be bias. So immediately, they saw the incident that looked like bias, which happened almost like back-to-back. Because as soon as the Senegalese goal was ruled out, the next action was the penalty call. They say, this is it. And you look at the timing. At the embers of the game, the dying moment of the game.
Score and win the trophy.
If Morocco scores that penalty, they win that tournament. There's no debate about that. Right? So we saw it immediately. Hakimi or Brahim Diaz missed that penalty. Referee blew. Right? He went straight in. So that's to tell you, if he has scored the goal, ball don't end though. Or this one will be top. Nah, story. Right? Medicine after death. right? But again, it's the perceived prejudice before the final, because I didn't see prejudice in the final. If you talk officiating, I can't say bad officiating in the finals. I didn't see it. I would like people to correct me if I'm wrong, right? You say, oh, this was really overwhelmingly glaring that the nation was against Senegal and wanted Morocco. I didn't see that. But maybe you'd see more of that in Nigeria, Morocco, and more of it in Morocco, Cameroon.
And more of it in Morocco, Tanzania.
Right? So you see a game like that. You see the perception now from Trent, and he goes back to what I said earlier on. Do you actually think Morocco would need help beating Tanzania? Morocco can beat Tanzania toe to toe. They can beat Tanzania. So why are you helping Morocco beat Tanzania? You're building, bias, and you're building things that are not supposed to be there at all. Because if Morocco beat Tanzania fair and square, beat Cameroon fair and square, beat Nigeria fair and square, I'm not sure there's this conversation. I'm not sure Senegal will walk off that pitch. They would see it as, penalty decision. It's a referee's call. Maybe you'd see people challenging the referee, but it will not be seen as a conspiracy to give Morocco the title. All of this is a boil over, right? From what happened from the knockout stages, building. And then Senegal said, we've seen you. We're not ready for now. We know now what you want to bring come. Oh yeah, carry on. We're able to. Right? But at the end of it, Senegal. I've also heard some stupid thing. People say, they agree that Brian Diaz should use that. I've heard people say, I'm not sure I've heard.
I think I heard it too.
I'm not sure I've heard.
I heard it too.
And it's not a debate.
It's a fair play arrangement.
I'm not sure I've heard something more obscure. I'm not sure I've heard anything more mind-boggling than that for somebody to think in a final where the nation has spent money. They don't prepare the food finish. Colonna, corn chop. And then they say,
they are feeding you. They are feeding them too.
Come Morocco, come chop. Carry the plate, the spoon, and the pot. Go your house. No, now. Come and eat. Eat, but the pot should be in Morocco. They wanted the pot, which is that to be in Morocco. They don't dish and give you. Right? So how can you say a player of Morocco in his first major tournament for the nation, right, has the opportunity to win the nation a title and become a national hero, maybe have a statue erected in his honor somewhere in Morocco, that he would give the ball to Edward Mendy because, he liked Mendy or he's a fair play. No wonder they won fair play team of the tournament.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but we're talking about now, overview now, what happened, and what would you say about Sadio Mane? In all that happened,
I don't know.
all that happened,
see, I don't know.
He stood his ground. He
Yeah,
stood
now-
in there and made sure his colleagues came out
I don't
to
know.
play.
I don't know if it's. I've seen people say it's a natural leader. That was instinctive. I don't think he was taught to do that. I don't think anybody can be taught that. I don't think anybody can be told to do that. It's natural. See, the players were running off. Even the captain on the day, Isagwe, going. So as the coach said, he was the one that stayed back. Talked with Claude Leroy, talked with Alhaji Diop, talked with a few people. He said he went to Claude Leroy and said, "What do you think of this situation?" He made consultations. And if that's not wisdom, I don't know what is. Right? If that's not leadership, then I don't know what is. And I think maybe for long stretches, that's what's been lacking in our society. Leaders take decisions without making consultations. You are leading people, but of course, there are other leaders. You should be able to pick people's brains as well. And he said, Claude Leroy told him, it will be bad though. Because if you walk away, if they walked away they walked off that pitch and never came back, Morocco would be AFCON champions.
Yeah.
they would never have had the opportunity of winning the AFCON they won. They are now called champions. Right? So he took money to do that. I don't know how he did it, but he's one player of the tournament, and I think that's very fitting. Right? And that's exactly what a leader should be able to have. That cool head over your shoulder when people are running helter-skelter, when people are screaming. I need to also commend, what's his name? The Moroccan captain.
Yeah,
Hakimi. That guy is cool. I've rarely seen anybody that cool. I know every time the camera went to him, he was either trying to talk to somebody or calm somebody down in the midst of all of that chaos. He's host too. He wants to win, right? But in that chaos, you didn't see him quarrel with anybody. He's not quarreling with opposing teammates or with the opponents. He's not quarreling with his teammates or screaming over somebody. Peacemaker at every point, the camera went to him. He's trying to calm down. Whatever he's saying, whether in English or Arabic, whatever. But you see that's what he's saying, and that's what the leadership should be about, right? So, big ups to Sadio Mane, big ups to, Hakimi. But again, I blame Hakimi.
Exactly.
I blame Hakimi for that AFCON loss.
Papagay.
I blame the coach. See, there's no way you'd play for Mourinho. There's no way Mourinho is coach of Morocco and they don't win that finals. Why? This guy, what's his name? Brahim Diaz. He's not even third on the set piece takers for the team. He's not. Do you understand me? Every team has designated set piece take. You will not take that penalty. See, Mourinho will enter that pitch and cause trouble. See, they will disrupt that game. You don't take that penalty. No, you're not taking the penalty now. But in the midst of all of the chaos, I thought, they were distracted. They didn't stay dialed in. Because if they stay dialed in, there's no way national team coach looks at Brahim Diaz, who has not taken penalty in the competition, even in penalty situations.
He did not. Against Nigeria.
Please correct me. Has Brahim Diaz taken any penalty in this tournament? Even regulation time. The one that the games have gone to penalty shootout. Has he taken any? So why, for God's sake, in the most important moment of the tournament, with the most important goal of the tournament lurking, he's the one there? No, that's concentration. People are not thinking. People have lost focus. People have been, distracted by all what the Senegalese did. Because for me, I think if the Senegalese didn't do all of that antics, he doesn't miss that penalty.
Definitely.
That Panenka, he did. Mm-hmm. He was overwhelmed by the situation. He's thinking the pressure is now there. And I'm sure he now regrets why he took that ball to take that penalty. And tomorrow, if you give him penalty, he will not take that penalty. Replay this AFCON final, give Brahim Diaz that penalty again, he will not take it. And guess what? If what's it, the Moroccan captain, if he takes that penalty, that's a goal. Why? He has lived with those kind of moments. He's taken those kind of penalties. I saw Nigeria-Morocco, right? The penalty shootout. I had a conversation with the coach and he told me, do you know the most important penalties of the 5? There are 2. Number 1 and number 4. If you score that first one, it gives you confidence going. You see that number 4? That number 4 is always like a dead rubber. If you miss that number 4, you are either giving advantage to the other team to score the 5th and win the tournament, or you lose the advantage you would have had. If you miss the 2nd or 3rd, there's still a way to compensate with, 4th, 5th,
and 1st.
Right? But see that 4th one? And go back to the clips. That's the one Hakim Ziyech takes, or the Moroccan captain. What's his name? Hakimi. That's the one he takes. The 4th one. When pressure don't mount like this, everybody don't be tense. That's the one. He's taken those kind of penalties time and time again for club and country. So he doesn't miss that penalty. Because that penalty just needed a player to pick a spot. Edward Mendy is down. He's down in the middle now. You can replay the clips, and he went down. Now, when he see the ball, they come direct. That's when he stood up to grab. He's already down. So you pick your side here or here. That's a goal. But because he's overwhelmed, he's thinking, there's no way penalty. There's no way penalty of this man to keep and go dive. Let me do Panenka. It's not like it's a Panenka where he wants to be stylish. No, it's not a stylish thing. Because he didn't know where else to put the ball. It's not what Chukwueze did. No, that thing is you see, if you ask me if you ask me highlight most annoying moment of the competition, that is it, number one for me. It cannot be chewing gum. And I think Chukwueze was angry. I think he was angry. He wasn't played earlier in the game. He was brought in for that. The coach was interviewed post-match and he said, he's the best. He's one of the best. He's the best. Because these things, they don't just come out of match days and give somebody penalties. They practice penalties now and say it's the best. But because he was angry, they didn't play me. Just chew gum, come there, drop ball, stand, and go kick. As if you are remote controlling the computer or they play PS. The keeper say jump left, my ball they come right. No, jump left, my ball they come here. Yeah, so that's a nonchalant. Oh God, Chukwueze, don't do that again. No.
He definitely will not do that again.
He had a good build-up to the tournament. Yeah. Right? He had good form with Fulham. Arrived the national team. He was still struggling to find his footing. If you are a coach, would you play yourself in such a game? High stakes game. You bring Chukwueze there. We saw him against Uganda, misplacing passes and losing possession. I'm not saying he's a bad player, right? But this tournament, we must agree, and he must also be truthful with himself. It's not one of the best tournaments he's had with the Super Eagles. And that's why he's had less minutes. So he needs to improve. If he wants to be counted, see, the Musimen and the Lookman, people are hailing now. They are not held on the basis of, they just come to the national team and why they wait time. They play. You see the way they play with the national team. They want to make things happen. Chukwueze has been in the national team for as long as I remember. Came through the youth rank. So if you're looking for a player that should understand what a national call-up is, I think he should be one of those players that other players should be looking up to. Because he came from the background. Right? He's not one of the privileged few. He came through the ranks because he knows how to play football. He has earned his spot in the team because he's a football person. He's not one of those guys who say, he's here on slot. Even if he's here on slot today, he has earned his slot over the years. So you shouldn't make people discredit you and say things about you because you just made a silly thing and that should have been avoided. But good tournament.
In my own opinion, one of the best AFCON we've seen in history, yeah, and records broken, records made, interesting things happen, despite the controversial moment we saw right there. But AFCON 2025, in my opinion, one of the best. Trent, your parting shots.
Well, my parting shot is that you see that Kimi, I have a problem with him because he said he's a chill guy. I didn't mean he was not a chill guy. See that Papa Gay, because he was the one following Papa Gay. You had just one job for the team. Bring him down, get a red card, no problem. Just bring him down.
For the
goal, yeah. He was the one following Papa Gay.
No, but again.
He was the one following Papa. I didn't mean it was another Federico Valverde. Oh my
no,
God.
But again.
Come on.
Again. Now,
watch those guys.
Now, but again.
Watch Ramos. They'll just get the red card for the team and know that they are saving the team because.
No, but you need to. I'll cut him some slack.
Because it's not one-on-one.
No, not even one-on-one, right?
It's not last man.
How many times do you give Goye that ball in that place and he hits a shot? That was a one-off, right? 5 out of 6 times he gets into that position, he's looking at giving a pass to either Mane or a forward player. But it was just intuitive, he just stumbled, hit it. So that's not something that happens. The one that happens, and then the key moment is the one I would say he's responsible till tomorrow. And I'm sure he would sit back like this. Maybe he would watch this podcast and then you just, boy, if he's sitting with someone, boy, say we know where they have gone. And that will remain a mystery to bulk of those players that they didn't win that AFCON. They were in touching distance. It was this close. Like, bro, me and you, I'm holding in them now. This is how close the AFCON was close to, how close it was to Hakimi.
But they missed it because
You wanted to win the golden boot. Which golden boot? You are the one leading already.
But
Why are you
You are the
winning?
one leading
when,
already.
when people talk about winning golden boot, I'm running mad because I don't understand. The tournament has finished. So that's the
That's
last game of
finished.
the
That's the
tournament.
last game.
Like, you're confirmed as the golden boot winner.
Highest goal
he
scorer.
was
Do you
already
understand?
on the five goals, yeah.
See, there's no Seaman, there's no Lookman.
There's no man. Man had one goal.
There are no goals, so again. So that is almost like the last kick of the game. And then how are you thinking of 6 goals?
6 goals.
So you pick 6 goals over the title. I saw that picture now. I saw the picture of him and Infantino when they handed him the golden boot.
Yeah.
Somebody tagged it happy face. I did not see happy face. I did not see happy face. But guess what? If Morocco had won the competition and they gave him that thing, you see, smiley emojis. Smiley, you be the new face. You say you want to define a smiling face would be Brahim Diaz with the golden boot, right?
Yeah.
But he threw that away on the altar of whatever.
I'm not pitying
But
them.
it's me. No. I blame the captain. I blame Uruguay, the coach of Morocco. No. Please forgive me if I'm. Oh no! Don't even forgive me. Morocco with Mourinho does not happen. Prove me wrong, please.
Well, one thing.
Even
One,
Morocco
one,
with
one,
Coach Lawrence.
one
No,
thing-
It doesn't
oh.
Come on, don't do that. Don't do that.
Trent.
It doesn't happen.
No, without disrespect.
Lawrence.
No, it doesn't. Actually.
It doesn't. They no born your papa well.
No, it happens.
It doesn't.
It don't happen once. This
Well,
yeah, it don't happen
well,
once.
one thing I
It
would
happened.
say-
It happened.
one
It
thing-
happened.
one- one thing I
listen,
want to
no,
say-
let me make my point. It happened once. It happened at Thomas.
Oh yeah. True.
Eko Barry is not. He has goals, so experienced striker can score penalties, but he's not the set piece for taker for the team. Samuel Bassi, captain, is. Right. He's the set piece. But guess what? There was a penalty. Eko Barry was fouled for the penalty. He took the ball. Yeah, so that corrects the impression. Maybe under Coach Lawrence it happens. So that's my point.
Anyway,
No, but
what
you-
I
you
wanted
know,
to say,
yeah,
Trent,
sometimes-
what I wanted to
well,
say.
we have that discussion later.
Okay,
Because,
yes.
Okay, let's have it now.
No. We'll have it later.
You know?
What I wanted to say is that
But it didn't happen last season, no.
No. So I know it didn't happen last season.
They're
Sometimes you
dragging
see
us back there.
Eko Barry will just hold the ball like, be like,
No.
The one.
Wait.
I'm
so
the man.
wait,
Anyway,
but
right,
Brahim Diaz is
right,
not like,
wait,
wait, man, because
right.
So now,
Right.
the Hakimi
yeah.
handed Brahim Diaz that ball.
Oh wow. Maybe the
Go back
director
to
did
the
not show
clips.
me that.
He handed Brahim Diaz that ball. But guess what? If the coach screams from the touchline and says, Brahim Diaz, hand back that ball to Ashraf. You think Brahim Diaz would do that thing Kepa did with Mauricio Sarri, where Sarri said, "Come out, substitution." You know, when he was Chelsea coach, and what's his name?
Kepa.
Kepa said, Kepa refused to come off. Mauricio Sarri nearly ran. If not Mourinho don't enter that pitch.
Well, Bryce, it was nice having you here. Seriously, this conversation, we can't have it in one day. It's a whole lot. I mean, AFCON 2025 was so interesting that it has opened up a whole lot of avenue for conversations here.
Yeah,
but it was nice having you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Right.
you, bro.
I hope to have you again sometime soon.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
The NNL would resume soon. So
Yeah, definitely.
February 14th.
February 14th, NNL. Gal
Valentine's
FC.
Day.
Huh?
Valentine Day.
I didn't do Valentine, no.
Gal
Maybe
FC.
no go break my heart.
Gal FC. We are behind you, okay? We are behind you on this one.
Make
And,
guys, shall go break our heart too.
what I wanted to say before
Made
Trent
it no break our
kept
hearts.
on dragging us back, I wanted to mention that in this tournament, just concluded AFCON, the 4 teams that made it to the Final Four were all homegrown coaches. Something very interesting. This is how much we can go for this
And
week's
Drew
edition of the
will be
show.
at the World Cup.
Yeah,
I want to
definitely.
not be at the World Cup.
You guys are dragging us
Wallahi,
back.
Ghana go laugh us. Wallahi. Ghana no agree on rest.
Well, this is the Locker Room Central. If you're just joining us, please follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is the Locker Room Central. My name is Bill, and we are out. Bye-bye. This is the Locker Room Central.
You're gonna love it.